Hi everyone, I'm sure many of you have run into this problem before. You have a lot of raw footage, you know the story you want to tell, but you don't remember where the right moments are. And once the amount of footage grows, turning it into a finished video becomes a slow and messy process. That's exactly why we built the Video Screenwriter Agent. It helps find the right fragments across your video library and assemble them into a clear, meaningful sequence. Behind the scenes, raw videos go through the MCP server, get analyzed and broken into meaningful fragments, and those fragments are stored in the knowledge base. Then the agent searches across them and puts the right ones onto the timeline based on your request. So let's jump right into creating a video. Here I'm asking the agent to create a video showing what OneReach agents can actually do in practice. I wanted to begin with a short intro to AI agents, then move through the objective, actions, tools, and MCP servers, continue with live testing in Playground, and end with starter flows. The agent takes that request, turns it into a clear structure, and shows it back to me for confirmation. Once I approve it, it starts searching for the most relevant video fragments for each part of that story. And this is an important detail. It's not limited to full videos. The videos in the library were analyzed beforehand and split into smaller logical segments, though the agent can reuse the right moments across the whole knowledge base. And I'll come back to those knowledge base fragments later in the video and show that part in more detail. For now, the important part is that once the right fragments are found, the agent can immediately turn them into a first draft that I can preview right away. You can already see that it creates a clear and logical product flow from start to finish. So let's take a quick look at the short part of the video.
Today, I'll show you how to create a weather agent that provides users with the current weather for a specific location, or based on their geolocation. The most important step is defining the objective. Here, we detail the agent's role, its goal, and its behavior in a conversation.
As you can see, the opening already follows the structure we defined, starting with a brief introduction and then moving into the objective. One important thing to note is that these source clips already contain voiceover, so when fragments from different narrated videos are stitched together, the transition may not always feel perfectly seamless. So in the next use case, I'll switch to raw footage without voiceover, where the final sequence can feel much smoother. That brings us to a more cinematic example. This time I'm asking the agent to create a short aesthetic video showing two sides of Japan, Kobe and Muroi in Nara. First I give it the overall idea and then I refine the structure. Start with Kobe Retro Cafe and streets, move into Chinatown and food, then transition into Muroi's forest, temple and countryside, and finish with Kobe night lights. The agent turns it into a clear plan, confirms the flow with me, and then builds the first version automatically from the available fragments. And compared to the previous example, this one already feels smoother because here we are working with more raw visual footage rather than clips that already contain heavy voiceover. But what I really want to show here is the next step, refinement. After the first draft is ready, I ask the agent to make a specific change, add a quiet reflective Moroi scene with temple and nature visuals right before the Koba night lights. So instead of editing everything manually, I just describe the update in plain English. Now let's look at the result, and here I'm checking the timeline to make sure the change was actually applied. And we can see it was after the countryside section there is now an extra reflective Moroi fragment, and only after that do we move into the Kobe night lights. So this is a nice example of how the agent can help not only with generating the first version of a video, but also with making precise structural changes afterward. Now let me quickly show the knowledge base behind that workflow. First, I'm showing all the notebooks created from uploaded videos. This knowledge base is backed by a vector database, so when a video comes in through the MCP server, it is not just stored as a raw file. Instead, it is processed into a structured searchable format. Now I'm opening one specific notebook. On the left, we can see the notebook description. This gives a high-level summary of what the source video contains. On the right, we have the notes that belong to this notebook. And this is the part that really matters for the agent. Each note represents a short logical fragment of the original video together with a description of what is happening in that specific part. When I expand a node, we can also see its properties inside that same entry. Things like the document URL, timestamp, title, and source type. So the agent is not searching through long raw videos directly. It is searching through these structured nodes, which already describe meaningful parts of the footage and keep the context needed to trace each fragment back to its source. That is what makes it possible to find the right moments across the video library and then use them later when generating or refining a video. And to wrap things up, let me show the agent session itself. Here we can see the search video fragments action, and right after that I open memory. At this point, the agent already stores the found sources and found video fragments in memory, so it keeps track of the relevant clips it found. Then once build scenario runs, the memory is updated again, now with current video scenario. So the agent remembers both the fragments it found and the scenario it built from them. That's why it can stay oriented in the current video structure and make later changes much more easily. And that's really the big idea here. Just like retrieval helps AI ground answers in the right information, it can also help ground video creation in the right footage. Instead of manually digging through hours of content, we can let an agent find the right fragments, assemble the story, make the creative workflow much easier to manage. And that's it from me. Thanks everyone for watching.